Jaja, I wanted to contribute a thought to your timeless existence video. The idea that without motion there is no time. Imagine this: you have just a spaceship coasting through space by all these stars and past all these planets and past all these stars, just coasting along. Okay, now obliterate the universe except for that that spaceship. So now there is nothing. Is the spaceship moving? Is it moving? I don't think it's moving. I don't think there's time. Is there time? Time seems to require two things and motion. Because you have to have something. It has to be moving. But how do we know that it's moving? It's moving in relation to something else. Motion is a relationship somehow. It's a relation to some other thing. So if you only have one thing, you can't have motion, and therefore you can't have time. So in order for something to be, so then we can jump and we can say, okay, what about this? In order for something to be timeless, for there to be no time, it must be one thing, and it must be indivisible. Because if it is divisible, if it's not uniform, it'll have two parts, and it'll have internal time, just like that spaceship. In relation to everything that does not exist outside, there is no time. It is frozen. There is no time for it. But if inside, imagine there's a mechanism, a clock running inside. Now how would that work? If there's a clock running inside the spaceship, I think it would only be measuring time within the spaceship. And its moving parts. So you're only measuring time within the spaceship. That's interesting, because if you wind the clock when there's an outside universe, what happens when you obliterate the universe? But that's another problem. So in any event, if a thing is made of two parts or more, you're going to have time and change, because you'll have a movement, provided there's movement. Provided there's movement. Okay, I'm at a loss. Okay, because I said you got to have two things and movement. So if you could have something made of many parts that are still and not moving, and there would be no time. I guess that's the conclusion there. So you still need the motion to have time. But if you have one unified, uniform thing internally, there can be no time within it, provided there's no outside world. How does that sound? I don't know. You know where I'm going with this. I'm trying. I don't know, the relationship of inside to outside. I don't know. That's a spatial relationship. Space again. Yeah, I think that's the story. As far as infinity, you know, infinities are different sized infinities. That's what fascinates me. You can always increase the dimension of something and create a whole other dimension of infinity, but I haven't studied that enough to really understand it very well. I certainly can't articulate it. So because I don't understand it, how am I going to articulate it? And if I can't articulate it, I therefore do not understand it, which is why I have done a okay job of articulating all the stuff that I just said. Anyway, just some thoughts that time, there must be, in order to be time, there must be motion, and there must be at least two things. One thing alone, and one thing alone means no time. If that one thing is made of several parts, as soon as the parts start to move, there's time. Now, whether there's decay or progress or growth is a whole other question. What is that? What is the idea of improvement? The idea of progress? The idea of excellence? You know, how do we wrap that into the equation? That's something else. Change towards excellence. How can we guarantee that rather than just what we would consider decay? Blah, blah, blah. All right. I used up enough time, man. Just wanted to contribute that idea. There's a story. Bye.